Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Gray, and we're just plain living here.
Good morning, I'm Peggy Burton.
And I'm Jim Fuller.
It's good to see you guys
Good
today.
You
to see
too.
you.
We
Good to
stayed
see you.
alive for another week.
We've made it one more week, and it's 1 week closer to Thanksgiving.
I know, you got a
It'll
big...
be turkey time before long, but
This
all
is-
the turkeys are hiding in the woods.
And this is John's favorite time of the year, Thanksgiving.
Is it?
John,
Love it.
He likes
John
to make a
contends
sandwich.
that we don't do Thanksgiving right.
No justice.
Yeah,
There's no
you know,
justice in this
so-
society.
Everybody's out decorating their Christmas
It goes
trees.
straight
Yeah,
from
it goes
Halloween
straight
to
into it.
Christmas.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you buy stuff for Halloween. Kids gotta have costumes, gotta have candy. Christmas is all about the presents and the decorations.
Yes.
And poor old Halloween gets left behind because it's only about family and love.
You mean Thanksgiving,
I think
right?
Thanksgiving, yeah,
Right,
Thanksgiving
yeah,
gets
okay.
left behind because it's only about family and love.
You got
Isn't
a
that-
big-
isn't
you
that
got a big
bad?
Thanksgiving coming up?
Well, every Thanksgiving's a big, I'm thankful every day, or I try
You
to
know,
be.
You know I have all the turkeys at my house.
All those turkeys
Yeah.
are out at your
Yeah,
house.
all of them.
Because they know they can hide out on Peggy Burton's Turkey Game Reserve
Right,
and Snakeatorium.
Snakeatorium, yeah. We have it all out there.
Peggy is probably not one to kill those turkeys herself to cook them.
No, that would be really hard for me.
Yeah, I never enjoyed that kind of, like hunting and stuff like that. I think because when I lived with my grandmother, it was like, okay, let me go outside and kill one of these
I
chickens
know,
and we'll
I
have
know.
that for dinner, you know.
Well, you know my chicken
and,
story.
Chicken, everybody's got a chicken story.
Tell
you
us
know.
about it.
Well, I've told it probably a million times about my dad telling me I had to learn to wring the neck of a chicken.
Yes.
Well, I did what he said because it was not good news if you didn't. Anyway, I go out to wring the neck of the chicken and I'd cry and I'd try.
How old were you?
Probably 10. So finally, I couldn't make it happen, so finally got an axe, and I did get its head cut off. So,
Yeah.
but I never wanted to eat chicken.
After
It was,
I understand that.
I know,
Totally.
it was really hard.
Totally.
The chicken was on the table that night. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That was just
Yeah.
hard for me.
Yeah, there was, what was his name? Coco. Jerry, when he lived, when he was raising his children, lived out on the old Winchester Highway on a small farm, and next to his parents-in-law, Mr. and Ms. Womack, and of course they had cattle and chickens and stuff, and so one of the little calves gets claimed by the little girl, and I mean, it's Coco. And every day she'd go out and the chickens would follow her. She could strut like a chicken.
Yeah.
And she'd go out in those boots on that went all the way up to her knees and strut across the pasture, and those chickens would follow her. And she'd go feed Coco.
Coco.
Well, one day she didn't find Coco, and 2 days later they were eating Coco, and she wasn't very happy.
No.
But that's
Yeah.
that's
I also-
life,
Yeah, I had that happen to me too. You know,
It happens.
the
to
circle of
everybody.
life.
Yeah.
When we were in the military, periodically I'd be staying at my parents' with my children, and this one year it was Thanksgiving, and there'd been this turkey in the yard, and my son Bart had made friends with that turkey. You really shouldn't get personal with a turkey.
No.
But anyway, he loved that old turkey, and that turkey got killed that day for Thanksgiving, and he was just like me, he didn't want to eat turkey.
Yeah.
But that's the way it goes, you know. You got to kill something.
You know, you never get, I love that line, you should never get personal with a turkey.
I do too.
That's a
I
great
do too.
line.
Well, you really shouldn't. Anything you want to eat, don't get real personal with it because you won't eat it.
And that can be literally or figuratively.
It can.
Works either way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that reminds me of a line, you know, I had, Colin Sharan was over here the other day, and for some reason unknown to me, he wanted me to do a podcast with him.
No, I'm not surprised.
And we were talking about how you people, creative people, you know, you can never read too much, you can never listen to too much music, and watch movies, because that's where, and life, you watch life, that's where these little lines where other really brilliant writers have put lines in these movies that can spark inspiration for you. Well, I was watching this one movie and this guy was taking this old man to, he was hunting for validation of a picture that he had from back in World War II, that it was of some major artist and worth millions of dollars, and he just never could prove it. And so this guy would take him every day to the Art Institute and he'd do research, and the guy would always thank him. And one day he let him out of the car, and the guy gets halfway across the street and comes back and looks at him, and he says, I want you to remember one thing. If I don't come back out of here, if I die today in there, always be kind to anyone who has access to your toothbrush.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, what a great line.
One of my favorite
It's
movies.
also great
Never make
advice.
that person mad.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movie lines that I don't even remember the movie, but I remember the line is, I'll have what she's having.
Yeah.
Yeah,
remember that?
yeah.
That's a great line.
And then play it again, Sam.
So play it again, Sam. So, there's always little things out there that flip a switch that makes you start instantly thinking about that phrase,
That
and
phrase,
it takes your
exactly.
mind other places.
Yeah.
So no, it was interesting. I was very glad to spend time with Colin. He's a brilliant young man.
He is a brilliant young man. And is he working on a
He's
production right now?
no, he has his own podcast that's on iTunes, Amazon.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's out there. He's
Yeah, I
out
think
there.
it's quite a compliment to you, John, that
Yes,
he
I do.
would ask you to join him.
Oh, I was very honored.
You know.
I mean,
so-
this kid
So is that
won
about-
national awards
Yeah,
for
sure.
It's
movie,
amazing.
Absolutely.
small films. Yeah, he's a brilliant young man from our town, and I'm honored to be able to help him. And not that I can coach him; he's much smarter than I am.
Is he at MTSU?
I know he's left there.
Oh, okay. I knew
He
started.
wasn't really enjoying what was going on up there, and he just taking a break to figure out what he wants to
Good
do.
for him. A lot of people
know,
need to
and
do
I-
that.
Sure, absolutely.
I think that's brilliant to do that.
It's just like I told him. I said, brilliance knows no age. It knows no color, no sex,
Exactly.
no nationality. It shows up when it wants to people who are ready and willing to listen.
You're right.
And it can be like Shirley Temple at 5 years old, or it can be like someone 80 years old that all of a sudden gets a lightning bolt, and it's the greatest big new thing that there is.
I know.
It's just there, but you just have to be open. And I said, so don't depend on someone else's definition
Right.
of
Brilliance and
success
Sure.
success. That's true.
to judge your personal happiness by.
Peggy,
It doesn't work.
You said that, you think it's neat to take a break, and it is. But I remember that when I was about 18 or 19, I decided to take a little break too. And it's been 50 years and I never resumed it. So,
Yeah, me too.
Are you still on that break?
yeah, I'm still on that break.
Yeah.
Went through that period of time when I thought, you know what, I've got a pretty good job here. I really don't need that education. What do I
There you
need
go.
that for?
I'm making money. Leave me alone.
Trust me, later in life, young people, I had wished many times that I hadn't took that break for that long.
But I do believe that there are lots of things that people can do before college to probably make them better prepared for college.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot of things people can do without college.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't, it just, some people need it and use it and are specifically trained to do certain things, which our society needs.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Especially
when
these
you need a
days.
lawyer, you need somebody who knows the law.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you need an advertising or promotional person, you need someone who understands that business.
And when you're clogs up.
You
You
really
need a plumber.
We're-
But that plumber,
And you'll pay dearly
You'll
for
pay
that.
dearly
You will
for
pay
it.
that
dearly
guy
for it.
doesn't necessarily have to go to plumber school
No.
to learn how to be a plumber.
No.
He's done it his whole life because that's what his family's done their whole life.
That's wonderful.
Or to be a farmer, to care for the land. You know, that's only learned through trial and error and hauling hay in the middle of the sun when you're 12 and 13 years old. That's the only way you learn that. So, one couple of things we need to say though before we take a break is this Friday night, Pearl Cone is coming back to Tullahoma. We're in the quarterfinals of the playoffs, and they think that they've been giving us some bad press up there in Nashville. We didn't deserve to beat them. We're the only team that's beat them.
We
And
didn't
they
deserve- wow.
they didn't deserve to beat them.
They
We
need to
just
look
were
out.
we were lucky, and our young men want them bad. And the one thing that I remember about that game is that's probably, and John Olive said, it's probably the most intense and best game that he can remember coaching.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason was not only his players and his coaches, but the people in the stands were absolutely insane that night. It was the most college-like atmosphere that I've ever seen in Tullahoma, and we need that again this
Oh, yeah.
Friday night. So you folks out there, get you a ticket. You can buy tickets at the gate, or you can buy tickets online, and come to this ball game because this is a big time game. We have a great football team, and this.
And this is probably two of the best 4A football teams in the state. Two of
Oh yeah,
of
heavens
maybe
yes, and you've got
probably in the top three. Would you think?
Yeah,
or
you've
four?
got Elizabethton and Greenville up in the
Right.
east, and once we get past this game right here, I don't know if Haywood or Gibson South over in the Memphis area are that strong this
Right.
year. So we really
Haywood
need to play
is
this ball.
however 11 and 0. Isn't Haywood 11 and 0 right now?
Might be,
Yeah, but I agree.
but they might be in a
Probably
week.
Greenville, would you say, is the best team in the state?
Greenville is listed as
ranked-
the best
listed
team in the
as the
state
best
right
team.
now.
And Tullahoma, however, is too.
They're number
It should
two.
be.
Yeah.
It should be,
Yeah.
yeah.
So help the Wildcats with help John Olive. John Olive, if anybody in the world, he's the winningest football coach ever been here. He's won 200 games
Isn't that
Wow.
amazing?
here
That
in
is
Tullahoma,
amazing.
and 200, I believe 225 all in with other places he's been, counting them. If anybody in this state deserves to have a state championship ring, John Olive deserves.
I agree that
I
with
do
that,
too.
and we as a television station were there for the first win.
First win.
Because John has done the John Olive Show ever since he's been here.
Right.
And my greatest memory of the first football game, that was actually the first game we had done because we didn't have a football show prior to that.
Right.
And
We didn't have much of anything
No,
prior
we
to
didn't.
that.
And whoever shot the video for that game, I remember and John's first game played, I think it was Franklin County, and they kicked off, and the kid run it back for a touchdown, 99 yards,
Oh, my goodness.
and whoever was our camera person missed it.
Oh, no.
They failed to turn on, failed to turn
wow.
on the camera. But
What a shame.
it got better after that.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we have great guests today, have a lot of wonderful things, and I've heard that there is one of country music's, and the CMA Awards were last week, and I've got a list of those winners. We might get to that, we might not, but one of the biggest stars in country music is going to be here on this show today. So
Great.
don't you dare go away. We'll be back after these messages.
The Bookshelf in Tullahoma is the fundraising arm of the Coffee County Literacy Council. Since 1988, the Literacy Council's goal and purpose has been to support and promote adult basic education in Coffee County. We enable individuals to complete their high school equivalency exam, which helps them get better jobs or continue into higher education. The Bookshelf at 114 Southwest Atlantic Street in Tullahoma is where we sell used books, which are donated to us by the community. Come see us, bring your books to donate, and join us as you find every genre of books that you can imagine.
MacArthur Manor Assisted Living is passionate about creating better experiences for our Manchester seniors. Our residents describe us in a few words.
Welcoming.
When you walk through the doors at MacArthur Manor, we'll treat you like family.
Caring.
Through high standards of personalized care, we help residents live life to its fullest.
Engaging.
With a wide range of life-enriching activities, there is something for everyone at MacArthur Manor. With our residents and staff now vaccinated, call us today to schedule your safe and personalized tour.
I had a knee replacement, so they've got me in life care, which I'm very, very thankful for. I couldn't garden, I couldn't do my flower beds, I can't chase my little dogs. I have been in several therapy sessions for knees and back, and that's the best therapist I believe I've ever been to. It's tremendous because I'm able to walk again, but if it wasn't for the care, I wouldn't be where I am.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
The individuals with dementia, those with Parkinson's, those that have maybe mobility issues, need caregivers. Well, those caregivers are 24 hours a day at home, and they never get a rest. And if they have to go to work, they're kind of out of luck. So that's why Trinity came into existence 25 years ago, to allow the caregivers to have a safe center where they could put their loved ones, know they would be well cared for, stimulated, fed good, nutritious meals, have activities to their level, and then the caregiver can stop by and pick them up and go on home and have some continuity into their life.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back. I know you're going to be so excited for the guest I have today. As promised, Miss Dolly Parton is with us today, and Sarah Haley from Imagination Station.
Imagination Library.
Library. Why didn't I say
Imagination Station is the park.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
That happens.
But the library, and of course we have Dolly to thank for the beginning of that.
Yes.
And how long has it been?
She started it in 1996, and that was just for Sevier County, her hometown.
Right.
And then about 10 years later, she and Governor Bredesen got together and decided that it was something that was so needed for preschoolers that it needed to be in every county in the state. So it became part of the 3-star program for the counties. And as far as I know, it still is.
And it's wonderful.
So in 2006, our first books went out. So it's in Coffee County.
County.
We are celebrating 15 years of putting books.
Have you been with it for 15 years?
From
Good
the
for
beginning.
You, Sarah. That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Oh, it's a fabulous program to be involved with.
And for people that really don't know, there's a few people out there that don't know about Imagination Library, and if they are not involved, what gets them involved?
Well, the main thing that we want them to do, if they have got preschoolers between birth and age 5, is to please get them signed up. And because of technology now, they don't have to fill out a paper registration form and mail it in to us. They can, they're still out there. We have them at the chamber.
But they can do it online, I guess.
Yes, they can go online to Imagination Library, and it will ask for their address, the child's name, their birth date, and then we will get the information to go ahead and verify the address is correct with the USPS.
Get them on the list.
And then, and it takes about 6 to 8 weeks because once we get them into the system, then that information has to get to the book order system through the Dollywood
Right.
Foundation, and then the publisher for them to
And
print
this
the labels.
costs the child nothing, correct?
Cost families absolutely
This
nothing.
is all Dolly Parton's
Yeah.
donation and not,
No, not Dolly.
well, a lot of it.
Not in no, not Dolly
Not in
Parton.
Coffee County?
No, Dolly Parton only pays for the books in Sevier County. She does
Okay.
not pay for any books in Coffee County or any other
So
county
you
in
have
Tennessee.
to raise that money.
The success of the program is that it's a public-private partnership between the Imagination Library of Coffee County. So we enroll the children, we promote the program, and we sign children up. And we change addresses too, if that's needed. And then the Governor's Early Literacy Foundation, we pay half of the cost of the books. The Governor's Early Literacy Foundation pays the other half of the cost. So we pay $13 for each child a year, and the Early Literacy Foundation
so
pays the other half.
Obviously, you are often ready to get donations, correct?
Absolutely.
And you have a fundraiser coming up?
We do at Feel So Good this coming Friday. It's Give the Gift of Books. So one of our board members will be at Feel So Good all day long. So come by, see Dolly.
Have a great cup of coffee.
Have a great cup of coffee, pastries,
Yeah.
and lunch, anything that you want to do. So we'll be there all day long.
And what time does it start?
It will be from 6 in the morning until 3:30. So we'll be there.
And if people give you a check, they just make it out to Imagination Library of
They-
Coffee County?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And if they go to our website, there's a donate button, so you can do it with a
Donate that
credit
way.
card. The other thing, because we are celebrating 15 years, we've got a campaign for a donation of $15 a month for a year. So, but we will gladly take any
Or whatever,
donations.
right.
Because right now, we have the statewide enrollment rate is 70%. Our enrollment rate in Coffee County is 89%. We have the highest enrollment rate in the state, which
That's
means
wonderful.
it is
89%
of eligible children. There are
Eligible
3,509 children birth to age 5 in Coffee County. And right now we have 3,125 of them enrolled.
if some of you happen to know some children that you think should be on the program, get the information to them, because not everybody has a computer
Yes.
and access
Yeah.
to what they need. And they especially may need these books. Tell us a little about the books.
Oh, I'm happy to. The very first book that every child gets, and it doesn't matter if it's a 1-month-old or a 4-year-old, is going to be The Little Engine That Could. That was one of Dolly's favorite books. It's from the very beginning. This has been the first book that every child gets, and it still is.
And we all love that
Yeah,
book.
everybody loves
Everybody
this
loves
book.
that book.
So yeah, it's the original book. So
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
that's the first one that everybody gets. And then the last book that every child gets when they turn 5 is Look Out Kindergarten, Here I Come.
Sweet.
Yeah, and this has been the last book from almost the beginning. So yeah, it's still the same, and you can.
And how long do the children receive the books? At what age does it cut off?
It cuts off when they turn 5.
When they turn
So when they have their 5th birthday, and of course
They
their
get their
birth
life.
date is in
Yeah.
the book order system. So so this will be the last one that they get. And we recently had a parent tell us that her 2 children had been enrolled in the Imagination Library program, and her son was older, and her daughter had been told that when she turned 5 that was going to be her last book. And so the mother and daughter would go to the mailbox to get the mail and always looking for Dolly Parton's book. And so when the mother reminded her that this was going to be her last book, and she got it out of the mailbox, and of course each book does have on the mailing label, it is addressed to the child.
Oh, good.
So, which is exciting for kids, and that's
Sure.
one way to
getting
learn.
mail, yeah.
They're already learning some literacy there. But the child started crying when she got the book out of
I
the
can
mailbox,
imagine.
and then the mother started
Oh.
crying. So yeah,
But what a wonderful program.
it is. It really is.
Some children might not even have a book in their home at all.
They don't, and a lot of families don't, and it's critical they do. Just from a science standpoint, by the time a child turns 3, there is a significant amount of brain development that has already taken place.
Right.
And 80% of the brain is developed by the time they turn 5. So if we can put books in the hands and homes of children from birth to age 5, they have got a wonderful start to kindergarten.
I had wondered if technology had caused any change in the love of reading books.
No,
Not for me, but
no, I don't think it has. And there are so many times we talk to children and families.
there's something about holding it in your hand.
There
I
is,
think.
and they need to learn that. They learn from an early age how to hold a book, how to turn a page, and parents can talk about, you know, the cover of a book. And Llama Llama is, of course,
Yeah, everybody loves
a favorite of a lot of children. But and one of the things, the two that I showed you are hardback books, but this one is a paperback. And in the front cover, there's a letter from Dolly Parton talking about the importance of reading to children. And then in the back, there are also tips for families to be able to do some things before they ever start
That's
reading
awesome.
a book.
Sarah, we could go on another 10 minutes, but they're cutting me off.
Okay.
So I'll just say thank you for coming. And do you have any last words you'd really like to say?
I do want to remind everybody that Dolly Parton does not pay for the books for Imagination Library in Tennessee, and each county is responsible for raising those funds because we do have the highest rate in the state. That means our book bill is $3,300 every month that we have to raise.
So go by Fuel So Good this week.
Yes.
It opens at
6
a.m.
Yes.
6 a.m.
Yes.
Get a cup of coffee and donate to this wonderful cause. Dolly, I still got to say thank you because you're the one that started it all. Yeah. We will be back with more.
What does caring look like? This is what caring looks like.
This is setting an example for others.
This is rising to the challenge.
This is doing what works.
This is doing my part.
This is doing your part.
Each of us individually.
Acting as one. Keeping your distance, no matter how awkward it may seem.
This is wearing a mask.
Over your nose and mouth, like we are.
Keeping our distance, each wearing masks.
Not under your chin.
Not above your head.
Not in your hand, but over your nose and mouth.
This is listening to the expert. If you'll just
wear one of these.
Caring makes community.
And this is what caring looks like.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
I feel like we're safe at Parkview.
There's somebody on staff all the time. So if you need help, help is there.
We are surrounded with people that are looking after us and taking care of us.
The staff is wonderful and always available. We feel so safe and secure here.
I feel safe at Parkview all the time.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, folks, we're back, and I'm glad to have, particularly today, my man, Mr. Winston Brooks, who knows all about town around Tullahoma. And yesterday, Winston, we had our first of the final 2040 meetings. Yes. Where the people who have come in to give us guidance, the firm to build and put together that meeting. And our vision for the future made their first of their 2 final reports.
That's right.
And how'd it go?
Well, I'm glad you asked. And I'm glad it's over. It was a very successful meeting. This whole process has been going on since the beginning of the year when we selected the consultants, the Walker Collaborative. We went through a lengthy interview process. But we started public meetings in July. And I just want to congratulate our community for coming out and supporting this process the way they've done. We've had nearly, over 1,000 people contribute to the process thus far. And last night was no different. We gathered at the high school auditorium, which is a magnificent facility. And we had about 70 people join us. And, these people stuck with us. There's a kind of a core group that's been coming out to all these meetings, and we really appreciate their support. They listened patiently. We had an hour-and-a-half presentation because this is a comprehensive plan, and it covers, all the zoning districts, all the mobility, all the transportation, economic development. So it was a lengthy presentation. Again, the community was very gracious to come out and listen to these consultants. But what we saw last night was a presentation on the future, the Think Tullahoma 2040, what it's going to look like in 20 years and how we get there based on our policies that we set. And so we talked about, right now we look at land use.
Right.
And these, the new communities that are thriving now, not new communities, but communities that are thriving are looking at these new policies in planning based on place type as opposed to land use. So when you think about place type, you might think about an urban area or a suburban area. And what that means is, like for Tullahoma, people think, well, Tullahoma's a rural area. Well, we really have urban landscape because it's about the relationship of the building to the street, to the pedestrian, and to the parking. Suburban area, which would obviously be our downtown core and our corridor, downtown corridor. A suburban area obviously is more like the mall area. Big stores, big parking lots in the front, stores in the back, and it doesn't look too attractive. Other place types they would talk about would be traditional residential or existing residential versus new residential. And that's pretty interesting because there are some large tracts of land in Tullahoma that are being looked at right now to develop. I mean, upwards of 500 new units, so that would be good density. And these, the new neighborhood types look at less driveway cuts onto the roadway. If you can imagine looking down a roadway and seeing street trees, sidewalks, and very few driveway cuts. Because the driveways now you're accessing the houses in the back through alleyways, which leaves open space in front. So now you have a green space where the houses maybe front a green space, sidewalk, tree-lined streets. And then with a development, say that was as large as 500 units, you could have multiple types of housing stock.
Right.
So now you don't just have a lollipop cul-de-sac, but
everything the same except the doors on one side and the dormers on the other side down the street.
Right. So now you have
go in somebody else's house because it looks just like yours.
Well, but you have so you could have a residential development that has housing, large single family tracts smaller
Sure.
housing for workforce housing or people that are downsizing, and then multifamily housing. So that's a huge need. There's a housing assessment done, and they were talking about the results of that. And so there's definitely a market need for these different types of housing stocks, multifamily apartments. So that's good. So we're getting data now that we can begin to try and attract developers in here to potentially build those developments. We talked a lot about the downtown. And so you can kind of go to Medlin when you talk about downtown, and versus a public gathering space versus South Jackson. So after the meeting, there was a lot of robust discussion from the community about those types of topics, about developing. They looked at a study also to do about a meeting space, because I believe there is a meeting space that may be redeveloping right now, but an outdoor meeting space. It's not a conference center. It's not a huge, it's a kind of a small venue that can have multiple purposes. And so one of those multi-purposes might be a farmer's market. So people would say right away, well, we have two farmers market in Tullahoma right now, but they're located in a place where there's no economic spinoff. So, maybe studying, the viability of combining that into a downtown area somewhere. And then it becomes, well, where's the space downtown? And so those are some of the things that they're still looking at,
right.
Some of the things that were proposed last night. I also want to shout out to P-Head Productions here, that if you want to watch that meeting, it's available on his Facebook page,
right.
As well as it will be aired on the channel here.
Yeah, right. It'll be aired here, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel.
And you can always go to thinktullahoma.com. I'm sorry, it's tullahomatn.gov/thinktullahoma2040, and all the presentations are there as well.
Right.
And so we really appreciate you guys helping us get that word out, because we couldn't have been that successful without
Well, thank you. And we're downtown too.
And you're downtown
now, so we're
yes.
we're easy access.
It's likewise.
And want to be right in the middle of everything that's going on, and that's one of the reasons we're glad to be in this new space.
That's right. And so one of the spaces they talked about really was between Wilson and Grundy, which you sit in. And if you think about, as you come through the urban corridor from Carroll to about where we're sitting right now at Grundy Street, it changes very dramatically on the other side of your building to more of a suburban feel. You've got these shopping centers that are built sometime in a very car-centric world.
Right.
And that whole area could be redeveloped. So we had asked the community to let us know, what type of development would you like to see there? Do you want to see more of an urban development, or do you want it to go back to the more traditional suburban? So that was a question that the consultants are asking for input from the community on. And so now that they've got this draft concept made public, they are asking the community to provide their feedback. And so we will go through a several month period now where we're collecting feedback, providing to them, and they'll come back with a revised version based on, again, this is a community plan. And that's why we appointed a volunteer, mayor-appointed steering committee to help make sure that this plan retain Tullahoma values.
Right.
So they're not just bringing in values from elsewhere.
And Frankie Ricks, architect from Tullahoma, and his firm, Looney Ricks Kiss, have developed miles and miles of land on Nolensville Road between Old Hickory and Nolensville. And you notice even in Nolensville, which used to be nothing but warehouses and farm stores, now you see these areas where you have retail on the bottom floor, living on the top floor, and where they build these neighborhoods and then they provide services and every kind of food you can imagine and services that you need to, not everything for your home, but you can walk around in your neighborhood, you can eat, you can get your hair cut. There's all the services you need are right there. And
neighborhood centers, that's exactly what we talked about last night.
Right, and
Great point.
me, you look from here in our area and you head down toward the cemetery. That land on our side of the road would be great usage in that type of a thing, and then that boosters up also downtown as well as other business space.
Yes.
And we have a wonderful future here in our town. And like you said, it's just outstanding that our citizens have taken an opportunity to be heard and voice their opinion.
Absolutely.
And we're very proud of them for
right.
doing that, and look forward to success from it.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And you're the linchpin.
We're working hard.
I know you are. Winston
Great.
Brooks.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, buddy.
Great to be here.
We'll be back after these messages.
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department need you en route to a structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, folks, this past week, as Winston's walking out, one of the things that he's responsible for, of the many things, is the coordination of the Veterans Day observance, which was done last week, and it was absolutely wonderful as always. And one of the things that sends chills up everyone's spine is our friend and patriot, Mr. Lloyd Smith, doing his tribute to the armed forces.
Clayton's has been Tullahoma's shoe store for over 120 years, and Florence Hall continues that tradition today. We're the only shoe store in town that starts with measuring your foot to make sure you get the perfect fit in a quality shoe. That includes narrow through wide widths for men, women, and children. Clayton Shoes, the family shoe store you'll love.
Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna take your style.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back. I'm always happy when I have young people on the set, and today I'm honored to have with me on the end is Elizabeth Garner and Marshall Jones. Marshall Jones and Elizabeth both are homeschool students, so they can be out of school today, right, for a while. And we're here to talk a little bit about the Young Artist Showcase that's coming up this Sunday, the 21st, at 2:30 in the afternoon at South Jackson Civic Center on our stage, and the price is $10. And I encourage you to come out and watch these wonderfully talented young people. And Marshall, since you're sitting here to my left, you go to, where's your school?
Well, I do school with Gateway Christian Academy, and ABECA is the curriculum that I use.
Okay, and you go over to the high school to play football?
Yes, but the season's over, so.
I know, but you have been doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the Young Artist Showcase, you're singing with Alexa Thompson, and what's the name of your song?
The Prayer by Andre Bocelli.
Did you have a hard time learning the Italian?
It's not that it was hard, it was just really weird that it was 2 or 3 letters, but the sound that it made was something completely different you'd think it would be.
Exactly. Well, anyway, we're excited about that duet, and I know it'll be wonderful. And Elizabeth, you are a student of Lisa Maurer.
Yes.
And how long have you been studying the violin?
I've been taking lessons 8 years.
8 years. So how old was that when you started?
7.
7. That's amazing. The violin was bigger than you were, but you had a teeny tiny violin, I guess, did you?
Yeah, I had a 3/4 size.
I love to see those little things. I love to see little people playing. And obviously, your playing has been enhanced by years of practice and years of a good teacher.
Yes, definitely.
Which Lisa Maurer is way up there at the top. In fact, she is the person I chose to do the Young Artist Showcase. She plays the piano for everybody, and some of her students. Are you the? No, you're not. Are you the only one? No, you and Parker Campbell.
Yes.
Are Lisa's students, and Parker plays piano.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a freshman, and you're just a sophomore. And often we just have juniors and seniors, and so that's a compliment to your teacher and to you. And Marshall, you're a senior, and what's coming up for you next year?
Well, I was planning on going to Motlow, and then after that, I don't know if I'm going to a 4-year college. But I would like to go and major in communications and try and start voice acting and maybe get my voice out there. And
I think that's great. You have a nice voice. Voice acting, is that just on, tell me what that means.
So I would do stuff like cartoons, video games, just to be a voice behind a character.
And so you're the voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you do different voices?
Yes, I can do different voices, different accents.
You want to do one for us?
One of the easiest ones for me to do is Australian. I have
Okay.
I have an Australian accent, so you caught me off guard here.
Oh, that's all right. Think about it. You can,
Yeah, go ahead. Ask me. I'll answer it in Australian. Go ahead.
well, that's okay. I don't want to waste a lot of time. I want to make sure I get to hear Elizabeth's song, but I do want to tell you who all's on the program before I hear your song. Doug Clark teaches Isaac Sweeney, who is a senior and plays trumpet, and Charlie Pettijohn plays tuba and is also a senior. I have two students, Marshall and Alexa Thompson. Alexa is a sophomore, Marshall's a senior. And Alexa just did Liesl in Sound of Music, so some of you may have seen that. Lisa Maurer teaches Parker Campbell and Elizabeth. Tom Maurer, another fabulous musician, teaches Chloe Fuller. She's playing sax. She's a junior. Spencer Kirksey, who plays sax and is a junior. And then Rebecca Murphy's student is Isabella English, and she's a sophomore and plays flute. So it sounds like a great program to me. I'm not going to tell what everybody's song was, but right now I want to hear your song, and what's the name of it?
Chartist by Victoria Monti.
Okay, take it away. We're excited. Wonderful, Elizabeth. Marshall, we got to go pretty soon. I'm so impressed. Anyway, you're talking about voiceovers?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you do a cartoon one?
What
What would it be if you did it?
A cartoon one, I'd go with real goofy.
Okay.
So something like this.
I see.
It'd be for like a bigger character, and it'd be
Right.
really easy to do, and something like
So,
that. But yeah.
And you do all kind of voices.
Yeah, I can.
I think that's unique. You'll have to come back and be prepared and do several for us. Will that be fun?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I have to say goodbye, and thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Marshall, for being here. And be sure and come to the Young Artist Showcase at 2:30 Sunday afternoon. Goodbye.
I got a tour and I saw all the things and I was so excited about them. Then she took me to the movie theater and it had red chairs. This is a done deal and I like it.
We have so many activities here that you just can't keep up with them all. We have exercise, we have coloring, we have crafts.
It's charming, it's attractive, it's very comfortable. It was one of the best decisions of my life.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, no. This warrior will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There are a lot of opinions being shared. But I had the chance to talk with my doctor about my concerns. He told me the vaccines are backed by decades of research, and that the vaccines are proven safe and effective. Now I'm protected and ready to put this pandemic behind us. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and as we said earlier, last week was Veterans Day, and we had a celebration, and the keynote speaker was General Bill Phillips, and Bill is a great guy. He's married to one of the Couch granddaughters. He's married to Marilyn, one of Cersei's daughters, and from over there in Bell Buckle and Beech Grove and that area around there, traveled all over the world and was one of the people who told the Joint Chiefs of Staff information that they needed to hear. So he made a wonderful speech at Veterans Day. Bill Phillips.
Well, it's great to be back in Tullahoma on this important day that honors selfless service and what our veterans have meant to our nation to defend freedom. It's truly my honor to be here with you today. I'm going to talk a little bit about selfless service. The Army has 7 values. I'm not going to go through all of them. I know them by heart, and many of you do as well. They're often difficult to distinguish which one is better than others. But what rises to the top for me is selfless service. It is most powerful and most influential, doing something greater than self. It is part of what makes our armed forces so great on this earth. Each of you and the citizens of this great city continue to exhibit selfless service through your actions and your many accomplishments for veterans and their families. You truly do make a difference, which was also mentioned this morning by our mayor. This is true for family members as well. We thank you and we respect you for your support for our veterans and your many sacrifices. You, at the end of the day, are the strength of our warfighters and our veterans. I want to share one of my favorite quotes from President Reagan. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed down for them to do the same. And at the end of the day, I thank God that men and women are willing to step forward and say, send me, I will serve. That's selfless service. How many of you been to Arlington? It's a pretty extraordinary place, isn't it? At my 10.5 years in the Pentagon that Catherine mentioned, went there several times. It touches your heart when you go there, especially to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers, a most memorable place. You know, today marks the 100th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and it was an interesting beginning. The first service member to be buried at Arlington was in 1864. During the Civil War. And many of you may know the history of how that occurred. On March the 4th, 1921, Congress, based on legislation by U.S. Representative Hamilton Fish III, a World War I veteran, approved a resolution providing for the burial of an unidentified American soldier from the American Expeditionary Forces led by General Pershing. This action followed the custom adopted by France and Britain, who had done so a year earlier. The site chosen was the Arlington National Cemetery at the Amphitheater. On Memorial Day, 1921, an unknown soldier, World War I soldier, was exhumed from each of the 4 cemeteries in France. The remains were placed in identical caskets and assembled in France. I don't know if many of you have been to visit cemeteries around the world. I have been to the Philippines, I've been to Europe. My wife and I went to a cemetery in France where we stood by the point where Audie Murphy actually made his stand against one of Hitler's most aggressive battalions, and he would later be awarded the Medal of Honor. They so much love and honor American service members. I think you would be proud as you visit those cemeteries and what service and freedom means to those people. So on October 24th, 1921, Army Sergeant Edward Younger, a World War I veteran, twice wounded in combat and highly decorated for valor, was chosen to select the unknown soldier from those 4. He was directed to place pink and white roses on the casket to be honored. Younger was left alone to execute his task. He stated, and I quote, "I walked around the coffins 3 times and then suddenly stopped. What caused me to stop? I don't know. It was as though something had pulled me to this soldier's casket." He explains that he was drawn to it in a most powerful way. So he took out the roses, he put them on the coffin, then he stood at attention and saluted the soldier's casket. Younger was serving in Germany at the time. If you want to know where he is today, he's buried in Section 18 at Arlington National Cemetery. The remaining 3 soldiers were again interned at a cemetery in the Argonne Cemetery, in France. The unknown soldier to be honored traveled to Paris, then on to a port in the city of Le Havre, and then placed on board the USS Olympia on October the 25th, 1921. The unknown soldier arrived on 9 November at the Washington Navy Yard. The casket was taken to the U.S. Capitol and placed in the rotunda. As the casket lay in state, over 90,000 people came to pay their respects, to include General Pershing, commander of the Army Expeditionary Forces, President Warren Harding, and many other dignitaries and past presidents. The New York Times described the burial at Arlington as unlike the burial of Presidents Lincoln, Garfield, and McKinley. And I quote, "There were tears of sorrow then, there were tears of sorrow today, but most of those who shed them were carried away by the emotion of the symbolism of patriotism, which this unknown American embodied." So at 8:30 a.m. on the 11th of November 1921, almost exactly 100 years ago, the ceremony began. 8 service members, soldiers and sailors, carried the casket down the Capitol steps and proceeded to Arlington Cemetery. A group of Medal of Honor recipients and Gold Star wives and mothers joined behind the caissons that passed the Supreme Court, the White House, then on to Arlington. It was a 7-mile journey. There were many dignitaries, to include the Chief Justice, William Taft, former President Woodrow Wilson, international delegations from our allies from France, Italy, England, Belgium, Japan, and others. As the Times reported, these were all great men, but none of them too great to bow in homage to our nation's hero. The funeral procession arrived at about 11:40 a.m. at Arlington. It was greeted by a crowd of over 100,000 people. Now, you've been to Arlington. Can you imagine 100,000 people waiting for this ceremony to occur? President Harding was the main speaker, and I just want to share some of his words with you. And I quote, "The soldier about to be buried in the tomb might have come from any of one of millions of American homes. We do not know the eminence of his birth, but we know the glory of his death. He died for his country, and greater devotion hath no man than this. This American soldier went forth to battle with no hatred for any people of the world, but hating war and hating the purpose of every war for conquest. Today's ceremony proclaims that this hero, unknown, is not unhonored." He then spoke to the Gold Star wives and mothers that were there, talking about their service, their sacrifice, and what they have done to give their most precious resource in the world to their country. The tomb itself, as you've been there, is very austere. The first email I opened this morning was from my dear friends I haven't seen him in a couple of years, named John Williamson. As I opened it, it was a picture of the actual tomb. And I shot back and I said, this is most appropriate because I'm going to use this. On the plaza face toward the amphitheater are these words: "Here rest in honored glory an American soldier known but to God." So, who guards the tomb of the unknown soldiers? Well, Al Henneman is here. Al and I chatted this morning. I've never met Al until this morning. We were just talking about his service. He was a lieutenant when he was in command of the Old Guard, the officer in charge of them, and actually would inspect them and as they walked out to do their guard duty. So I'm going to share some comments, but if you want to know more, Al is there. By the way, Al is a 101st Vietnam veteran as well. Thank you for your service. Originally, a civilian watchman was responsible for security of civilians in the beginning. Then in 1926, a military guard from the Washington Provincial Brigade, soon to be the Military District of Washington, established for daylight only. In 1948, the 3rd U.S. Infantry that Al was a part of, the Old Guard, assumed the post following the unit's reactivation in the national capital. The 3rd Infantry, the Old Guard, is the oldest active duty unit in the Army. They began service in 1784. And a soldier who wants to be a part of this honor guard, serving as a sentinel, must possess exemplary qualities to include American citizenship, a spotless record, and impeccable military bearing. While on duty, the sentinel crosses a 63-foot rubber surface walkway in exactly 21 steps. He then faces the tomb for another 21 seconds. Then he will turn, and then another 63 feet, 21 seconds to the next station. The 21 is symbolic of what we do in honor of our nation's greatest heroes in ceremonies. As a gesture against intrusion on the post, the sentinel always bears his weapon away from the tomb. Only upon exceptional circumstances may the guard speak or alter his silence, measured tour of duty. All of you have seen that as you've seen them march back and forth if you've been to the ceremony. He will issue a warning if anyone attempts to enter the restricted area around the tomb, but will first halt and bring his arms to port arms. The guard wears an army dress blue uniform, my favorite uniform. If you've seen all the westerns, the Indian Wars and so forth, that's the uniform that they wear. And it's reminiscent of those times. Tomb guards are privileged to wear the tomb identification badge. The word honor guard are engraved on the base of the badge. If they are there for 9 months or longer, they get to wear it permanently as a part of the uniform. They are charged throughout their life to honor our nation and honor the flag. There is a brass plaque that goes in the basement of the amphitheater where they actually prepare with their name being on it. If they dishonor themselves or the nation, then their names are pulled off that plaque. It is a high honor to serve as an Old Guard member. So I want to take a few moments to share with you a story that occurred to me during my last tour in the Pentagon in 2013. And I heard this story. It was about a hero who was going to be awarded the Medal of Honor. His name is Chaplain Imal Kapan, a native of Kansas. He served in the 1st Cav Division during the Korean War. Kapan was ordained a Catholic priest in 1940, and in 1944 he began serving as an Army chaplain. During the Battle of Unsan in Korea, as Chinese Communist forces encircled his battalion, Kapan moved fearlessly from foxhole to foxhole under direct enemy fire in order to provide comfort and reassurance to the outnumbered soldiers. He repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire to recover wounded men and drag them to safety. When he couldn't drag them, he dug shallow trenches to shield them from the enemy fire. As Chinese forces closed in, the commanding officer ordered his force to withdraw immediately in order to escape. Chaplain Kapan chose to stay and tend to the wounded and those that cannot evacuate. He was taken prisoner of war on November 2nd, 1950. When he was being led away as a captive, he saw a wounded American unable to walk, lying in a ditch defenseless. An enemy soldier was standing over him, his rifle aimed at his head, ready to shoot. Father Kapan pushed the Chinese soldier away, and then the enemy soldier watched, horrified and stunned, really. Father Kapan carried that wounded American away and continued to do so for the next 4 miles on their death march. When other prisoners stumbled, he picked them up. When they wanted to quit, knowing that stragglers would be shot, he begged them to keep walking. Once inside the dismal prison camps, Kapan risked his life by sneaking around the camp, foraging for food, caring for the sick, and encouraging his fellow soldiers to sustain their faith and their humanity. On at least one occasion, he was brutally punished for his disobedience, being forced to sit outside in sub-zero weather without clothing. When the Chinese began a re-education program, Kapan politely rejected every theory, defied his captors, and on Easter Day in 1951, he conducted a sunrise service. When Kapan began to suffer from his physical toll of his captivity, the Chinese transferred him to a filthy, unheated hospital where he died alone. As he was being carried to the hospital, he asked God's forgiveness for his captors. Chaplain Kapan died in captivity on May 23rd, 1951. In 1993, Kapan was named a Servant of God by the Vatican. On the 13th of April, 2013, when I was in the Pentagon, I learned that Chaplain Kapan was to be awarded the Medal of Honor. He is the only Army chaplain to receive such honor. On May 2nd of this year, Chaplain Kapan's remains were identified in Hawaii on the 29th of September. He was laid to rest in Wichita, Kansas, 29th of September of this year. Chaplain Caban is now being considered by the Catholic Church for sainthood. The Army soldier. 2 quotes I'd like to share with you. First, from the book of Isaiah 6:8. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here I am, send me." So what do we owe our veterans? We can never do enough for our veterans. This community does so much for them, and we are thankful for what you do. But I think President Lincoln, in his second inaugural address, sort of summed it up for all Americans as he charged them to, and I quote, "to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow, and for his orphan." In closing, once again, thanks to all of you for being here today, and I am honored to be here with each and every one of you as we honor our nation's heroes, our veterans, and their families. And folks have many ways of honoring veterans. One of them I know is Brigadier General retired J.B. Burton. He's the son of Peggy Burton. I don't know if Peggy's here today, but J.B. honors his soldiers who died in combat. On the date of their death, he will post their story on Facebook on the day that they gave the last full measure of devotion to our nation. I know that all of you selflessly and with great honor give of yourself, your times, your resources to our veterans and their families. May God continue to bless this great city, our nation, our armed forces, our veterans who have answered the call by saying, "Send me." Thank you.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, folks, we're back, and it's Christmas parade time, and I have the new director of Parks and Rec over in Manchester, Mr. A.J. Fox, with us today.
Yes, sir.
A.J., welcome to our studio.
Well, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. And yet, Christmas parade is week. It's what, Saturday night after Thanksgiving?
It is the 27th.
27th. So that's a week from this coming Saturday.
It is. Yep. Starts at 6:30. We've got quite a few entries, quite a few floats, so it should be a really good time.
Have some bands and all those kind of things going through there?
Yep, bands. The Air Force ROTC is going to be leading the parade.
Very good.
Ray Markham and his wife are our Grand Marshals for this year.
So where does that, what's the parade route for that parade over there?
We start lineup at the Raider Academy. And then they'll travel down 55 towards the intersection of 41, and then we'll hang a right on 41 and go towards the downtown square, and then we'll loop around the square kind of over by Harvest Foods, and we'll have a stage set up there, and then we also have a tree lighting after the parade.
And where is that, at the gazebo? Where is that tree lighting?
The courthouse, the county courthouse. It's right there across
the vacant lot.
Right, well, it's right there on the courthouse square.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yep, so you got Harvest Foods, and then you have, I believe it's Mid-10 Vapor Shop right there. It's right across the road from, from that.
So on the same, in the center?
Yes.
Where the courthouse is?
Right, yeah.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. So you are the new director, huh?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been doing that?
I've officially been the director since July. I've been with the department since 2009. Before I was with Manchester, I worked for City of South Pittsburgh as their Parks and Recreation Director.
Oh.
So then.
I love South Pittsburgh.
Oh, I do too.
Great town.
Yeah, great town. Great Cornbread Festival.
Yes, sir.
I love that festival.
So are you finding things well here? And are you enjoying?
Oh, yes, I'm enjoying it. I
doing
love
it in Manchester? You're a Hillsborough boy, huh?
Yes, I'm originally from Hillsborough.
Okay. Okay, so you're a county guy, and they moved you to the city, and everything's going well.
It is, yep.
All right, so we need to let everybody know again, the Christmas parade is a week from Saturday, and of course it gets dark now, about 4:30 in the afternoon, so the parade lineup time is what time?
Starts at 5 o'clock.
Starts at 5. And we know the route, and we know it's going to be fun, and everybody just needs to come out and see it.
Yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we appreciate, AJ,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you being here. Know that you can come back anytime.
I appreciate that.
And realize, folks, that this Saturday, one thing I haven't talked about yet today is this Saturday night, Dr. Daniel Potts from Tuscaloosa is going to be at South Jackson Civic Center doing a presentation on music and creativity and Alzheimer's and dementia. He will entertain by piano and voice, and also have artwork hanging in the building. It's a free event underwritten by the Winchester Hospital, and we want to thank them for that, and Alzheimer's Tennessee. So go to South Jackson Civic Center this Saturday night at 6:30, listen to some harp music, look at some artwork, and then listen to Daniel Potts, nationally acclaimed speaker on dementia and Alzheimer's, and listen to his piano playing and singing, and you'll enjoy it. You'll be glad you went. And with that said, thanks for watching the show today. AJ and I want to wish you to have a good week, and we'll see you next time.